and the goalkeeper.
Ball comes in. It is a leveller.
And it's a goal! 2-1 Navy!
It's a goal,
John.
Hello and welcome to Fratton Park, the home of Portsmouth FC, where the men's inter-service football championships are set to take another twist as the defending champions from the Royal Navy enter the tournament against the RAF. Last week in Shrewsbury, the Air Force met the Army in a very intense encounter.
And it is Michael Campbell again. He definitely loves playing against the Army. Another goal for Michael Campbell. And Ryan Fagan will get a shot away. Oh, it's a brilliant goal. I'm not sure if it took a deflection or not, but it absolutely bamboozled Ben Binns. And Creamer will go for goal. And that is inches away from the Army leading. And Michael Campbell might get away here. It's a big moment for Michael Campbell. And these two will not be separated. Full time at Shrewsbury. The RAF 1, British Army 1.
The RAF know this is essentially a must-win fixture, and we'll soon hear from their head coach, Chris Hamilton.
Yeah, we're looking good. We've got a really good group together again, thankfully. We've had a really good couple of days in Spain and a warm weather training camp ahead of this. So we're back out this morning with a full group. So we've managed to get them all together for a good week already to get our preparation as close as it can be to where we were last year as well.
So you had the advantage of seeing the first game. The Army and the RAF drew last week. So you must be feeling pretty good going into this game, knowing you've got a result to potentially play a higher hand with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think from my perspective, when we've done this previously, don't lose your first game is always the key, isn't it? So, but of course, every one of us are trying to beat the other team. That's obviously the idea. So for us, we take it. We don't really worry about that result. We still have the same focus, the same aim, go into this tournament to win both games. And then when you get to that second game, you know exactly, we'll all know exactly where we are with it. But ultimately, try and win your football matches.
And of course, the Navy has come leaps and bounds since Chris took over as head coach, and you won the title last year. I mean, you were hoping to do the same again this year?
Absolutely, Chris has been great since he came in. I knew Chris from previously when he was with the 23s. Didn't play 23s myself, but I knew him in a capacity where I'd come across him through Navy Sport, and he has evolved the team, and we're playing football his way, which is good.
And of course, Fratton Park is such a historical venue, really the heart of this city, and apparently there's going to be about 1,500 people coming to watch the game on Wednesday. I mean, is that added pressure, or is it going to really bring more energy into your game?
I wouldn't say any added pressure. When you're on the pitch, you tend to block the crowd out, but it's fantastic that there's so many people coming to support us, and we appreciate that.
So you're taking over the captaincy for this year's inter-services. I mean, is that a huge privilege for you, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's incredible. DK's been there since the absolute start with me. He's really going to be missed, but massive privilege on my part to step up and captain this side.
And of course, you captained other teams before with the Royal Marines as well, and you played UCAF as well. Does being selected as captain change the way you're going into the inter-services this year?
No, not for me. They always just know me as Angry Laws, just because I just demand the best, and I just want to win all the time. So regardless, my attitude hasn't changed. I just have a bit more administrative things to do, I'd say. Yeah, we're not looking too far ahead, to be honest. We're taking one step at a time, and we just got to try and do the business against the RAF, and then when we win, hopefully, we'll think about the game against the Army. But yeah, they'll be a tough opponent as always.
Well, first things first, Chris, big stadium, massive occasion. How's the mood in camp?
Yeah, really good. Boys are looking forward to it, and as you say, it's a great occasion, great venue, and it's going to be a good night.
And essentially a must-win fixture here. I guess that task is made even easier, though, with that fact in mind.
Yeah, sometimes I think if you can kind of go into a game thinking a draw will do us, then that can be a downfall. So we know we need to win. So yeah, that we know what the target is. So it should be a good game. Yeah.
Going in against defending champions as well. What are you expecting from them tonight?
Yeah, they're an excellent side. Obviously confident from last season because they won it, winning both games last year. So they'll be confident. A really good test for our lads to kind of step up and prove a point.
What have you taken from last week as well? Obviously a fairly intense encounter there.
Yeah, a little bit frustrated, but that's football, innit? It's inter-services football. The Army were good in what they done. And to be fair, probably a draw was a right result on the night. We were frustrated, maybe they were a bit frustrated on the night as well. So yeah, there's bits that we've tried to work on, and hopefully it comes out tonight.
And just how much extra motivation is there when the boys arrive and the lights are on and they see the stands as well? How exciting is it for the team?
Yeah, it's a brilliant night, and inter-services football, as you say. The boys have been looking forward to it all week. Since to be fair, since Thursday morning when they woke up after the game, they've been looking forward to it. And when you come here, there's nothing better, is there, on a Wednesday night at Fratton Park?
Well, go well tonight. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Cheers.
With just moments to go until kick-off, it's now time to join our commentary team, led by Kyle Dixon.
Welcome everyone to Fratton Park for match day 2 of the Inter-Services Championship. We saw a thriller in Shrewsbury last week. Two teams threw everything at trying to get the win, and neither side could in a 1-1 draw between the RAF and the British Army. The RAF back in action tonight in what must be considered must win if they're to have any chance of winning the championship. Standing in their way tonight, though, the champions join the fun. The Royal Navy are hoping to retain the championship, a task they haven't done in 8 years in terms of winning, and then, of course, trying to retain at least. So we will see what brings this evening. We are just going to be waiting for the two teams in just a few moments. Actually, it gives me a good chance to bring in the co-coms from the Army, part of the Army coaching staff. We've got Paul Corrie with us. Good game last week, it should be said. I know you guys will have felt you could have won the game here and there. Maybe the RAF will have felt like that too, but set you up nicely. You'll be watching this one, probably hoping for another draw, I assume.
I think another draw will be ideal, to be fair. That'll certainly set us up really well to go into next week. But we'll take it from there, and we'll see what happens. But I think either way, I think it'll be a close game. Both teams play very similar, so hopefully they cancel each other out and set us up nicely for next week.
Well, we do have a couple of minutes before the teams are going to come out. They are just watering the pitch at Fratton Park to make sure it's nice and slippy for everyone, which is going to give us the drama we want. So a chance then maybe to talk through the two teams before the players get out on the pitch. We'll start with the champions from the Royal Navy, the hosts this evening, despite them playing in their away kit. It's a strong team in a lot of ways. They are the champions, of course, but they will be missing a trio of players in particular who were huge for them last year. Danny Kerr, the captain, Mark Drysdale and Elliot Holmes, who scored twice against the RAF to win them the championship, scored against the Army here, set up another one. Such a huge player for the Navy last year, not involved in the squad at all. They're pleased that Jack Wright will be playing. There were some question marks whether Jack Wright would be playing or not, but he is. Lawrence McCormack takes the captaincy. And what it means is that a number of the under-23 players who have done so well over the last few years get their opportunity tonight. Manny Roche will lead the line. Sanchez Jans Baker gets an opportunity. But they do still have the experience. David Vincent, Jack McCormick. It's not quite the strong Navy side we've seen over the last, well, particularly last year, but there's still some quality there, right?
I think literally what I've just been saying to you before you went live, you know, we were missing players. We've had to dip into the 23s. We took 5 from there that performed really well and bring them across. We were hoping that the RAF and the Navy are exactly the same. I think what we've seen from last week's game was definitely that. And I think definitely for this game, you know, seeing the team sheet, we've got to repeat. So everybody's in the same situation when we're short of players, and we're looking to maybe dip into the 23s. And if anything, it opens it up for everybody, and you know, anyone can sort of win. We can see that from our 1-1, and whatever happens tonight, we'll see from there.
Well, the RAF then, let's take a look at their team. 3 changes from the team that faced the Army, 2 enforced, 1 a tactical change, I assume. Henry Jordan drops to the bench, but Joe Spalding and Mitch Duggan, who particularly Duggan played so well in the midfield last week, both unavailable. Spalding was in a suit early, which is a rare occurrence, admittedly, so it all threw us for a loop. But Duggan in particular, a late fitness test, wasn't able to play. So he's out. The 3 changes coming in then. Liam Smith comes in. Joe Waters will step into the midfield. Kieran Best gets a start too. So they're definitely changes, but it's a strong team, as we know, as the players are, I believe, about to come out. I can see Hells Richardson, who's delivered us some absolutely perfect brownies, by the way. They're over there at half-time. You can have some. To credit to Hells. I can see her directing traffic down there. So we'll be awaiting the 2 teams. Good chance to say, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, please do let us know where you're watching from. This Inter-Services Championship is about to take another twist. After match week 1, we kind of don't really know where it's going to land at the moment still. It's still up in the air. What can the Navy do as they arrive into the tournament? And as we mentioned, for the RAF, must-win circumstances at Fratton Park.
I think the biggest thing here might be the different staff, and have they implemented anything new from last season? And I think if not, then if they play the same, if it's going to be the same, then like I said before, that this potentially could be cancel each other out from different styles. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
As you can see and hear, the VIPs are going to make their way across the line. I can see Steve Johnson, Royal Navy Chairman, Royal Navy FA Chairman, and a few others. And as they go across the line, as you say, good chance to talk about the stakes of this, because some people look at match week 2, it's dead rubber. No one's going to win a championship tonight, but someone's going to go a long way to winning a championship tonight, and it may even be the Army if there's a draw here. A couple of Army referees as well. We haven't been given their names, I'm afraid, so I'm hoping you might be able to recognise a couple.
No, it's a Steve Clout you need for that. I wouldn't have a clue of any of the referees that we've got.
I
do know that
you're
potentially.
Usually shouting at them.
Well, I do know from last week that there is courses out there if anybody wants to do any Army courses for referees. That's what I do know. Absolutely.
More and more forces officials are welcome, and it's what we need for this game. Someone's watching along from Canada. Good to see. Also watching from just outside Dublin. Support for the Royal Navy on YouTube. Someone watching from Wales too. As they go along the line to the RAF team, which is led by the experience of Michael Campbell up front. A man who, I'll be honest, you must be quite fed up of as an Army team. Constantly scores against the Army. The record against the Navy not as good, but we'll see what he brings tonight. Joe Spalding's a pretty big miss, isn't he, for the RAF? You guys did a really good job actually last week of sort of man marking him out of the game. 2 men on him at all times. He must have been the target player to aim for you.
I'm clearly not going to give away too many tactics here, but I think from last week's game, I think we went out and set ourselves up in a way the RAF just simply didn't expect. Maybe they thought we were just going to be completely different in our press, in the way we sort of tactically set ourselves up, and they didn't expect it, which I think was clearly good.
Time for the national anthem then. Loud and proud at Fratton Park. Some louder than others actually. Took us by surprise on the gantry. The players are going to go along with their handshakes now and have a moment. And after that, we will be having a minute's silence as well, which is something we saw yesterday too. But of course, for the recent death of the last pilot from the Battle of Britain. So we will be getting onto that in just a moment as well. course, that's Group Captain John Hemingway who will be honoured. Both teams will be in their away strips tonight, by the way. As I'd probably take this more personally than others, but I don't like it. I don't like the Navy in white at home. Is it just me?
I think they sort of go for that England look, don't they? I'm surprised to see the kit in the RAF as well. A bit of an Aston Villa West Ham sort of thing going on here. What we?
I mean, as someone who's been at Villa Park a few times this season, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But yeah, both sets of players then will probably make their way around the centre circle. We're told. I'll do the handshakes first. Both captains, both players that are experienced in their own ways. Lawrence McCormick has come into Forces football over the last few years, but has certainly proven his worth as the Navy goalkeeper and a UCAF goalkeeper at the Kentish Club last year. I'm assuming Jack Wright's been nominated as the outfield player for the referee to have a chat to when needed.
I'm never a fan of goalkeepers being captains. It's not my favourite. I think centre halves definitely, as you can see, number 5, yeah, definitely. But as a goalkeeper, as your captain, is he too far away from the play? I think that's always my concern.
That's what the Navy have gone with tonight for sure. But yeah, I do understand your point on that one. Of course, with no Danny Kerr tonight, and obviously he's a big miss. He would have been the captain, but Michael Campbell will be that for the RAF. Time then for that minute silence. Moment of respect then for Group Captain John Hemingway, the final pilot from the Battle of Britain to leave us just 2 days ago. Time then to get on with the football, and this has all the makings of something quite dramatic. Last season we saw that in Shrewsbury, and the Navy had their day and they had their moment to celebrate. The RAF will certainly remember that, a lot of these players. That did hurt them. 2025 might be a night to put it right for them. Well, for the Navy, it's about consolidating on what they did last year. How do they build now a dynasty?
Just trying to see how they're set up here. It looks like we've got certainly that 3 at the back for both teams. Hopefully the same formations, and like I said, cancel each other out.
It's underway then, and it's an early header at left back, or left wing back, for Gary Hurd from the Royal Navy. Assuming our numbers are correct from the Royal Navy, it's what we were given. We do know you guys like to suddenly change shirts as you're about to enter the field.
Well, that was last week. The centre halves, wasn't it, from last week? I believe it was. Yeah, there was
probably
the way around. Yeah.
That's not the greatest header though, and it's an early RAF corner. Jack McCormick didn't quite get that right. Maybe a chance for a bit of pressure for Chris Hamilton's team. They are loading the back post here, as you can see. And in fact, it's gone all the way to the edge of the box, and a volley from Aaron Ayat. It was shaped well for him, and he kind of got it all wrong. Now Bright. That's gone long, and Jack Wright will comfortably deal with it. And now Jack Wright, one of the players who has come into Navy football over the last 2 years in UCAF football and has been super successful. A goal scorer from set pieces, dependable at the back. Usually there's that curse. Gives the ball away and out for a throw. Now Ayat into Phil Bright. And Bright looking to slide it into Campbell, who couldn't bring it down. McCormack had made the strong tackle, but the RAF come in. It is the Navy who come away with it with Jake Walker. Jake Walker's one of the players that came in last year, did impress, and with his history, obviously had been at Villa as well at one point in his career. Certainly one to watch tonight, Jake Walker.
I think service football is quite blessed, isn't it? We have ex-players from all services, really.
Here's Jack Wright. Intercepted. And the RAF will get it back to Bright. Looking down the line, and one for Campbell to try and get to and chase, but McCormack's there. And McCormack just gave Campbell a moment there to think about it, but it will all go all the way back to Lawrence McCormack. Scrappy opening in Fratton Park. Maybe a little bit of nerves from both sides, maybe. We know what this means to these players, and finding your way into the game here is important.
I've said it quite a few times. The inter-services is like no other football game that you sort of see. It's certainly the first 10 minutes. It's all about who settles the quickest, and takes it from there, really.
Brodie Gray with a bit of a loose touch, and well, the Navy came away with it for a moment. Gray's there again, and it'll be a free kick to the Royal Navy. It was a late tackle in midfield there by Joe Waters, I believe. And now the Navy do have some height, by the way, particularly with Sanchez Jans Baker coming in up front. Is another option in the air. Fortunately, that's going to find none of them.
I was going to say, with balls like that, we don't need to worry about the height.
If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, as I say, please do let us know where you're watching from. Pete Bradley says, good luck to the Royal Navy team tonight. Go and win it back-to-back. Get splinters off the pitch, off the bench. He's calling about Dane Rigby there. That's one for Campbell to chase. And Michael Campbell will suddenly just have a moment of space. Now onto Sam Dawson, left-footed cross. Over hit, but Gray might be able to keep it in. Good battle on the left-hand side that Gary Hurd did very well for the Royal Navy. Time to drive for the Navy midfielder here. And that's a good run actually made by Cameron Quirk. It was intercepted well though by the RAF. It's still there with Jans Baker. Couldn't bring it under control either. And the scrappiness continues. Now Jake Walker down the line and cleared well by the RAF. Someone's watching it, MID Corsham. More support for both sides on YouTube. Ball in now towards Jans Baker, who's won the header, you know. Not sure what happened to Liam Smith at the back, but it was Jans Baker who nodded it towards goal and couldn't really get a clean connection. Now Kieran Best back to Ben Binns. Long towards Campbell, who couldn't win it against Jack Wright, and the Navy come away with the ball. And that's looking for Jake Walker to try and stretch his legs, but Phil Bright, I'd imagine, will see this out, and does. Tom Mayer on YouTube makes a very good point. Better look to the referees tonight. No game without them. Absolutely. Was that a push there on the RAF? It wasn't. The Navy will play on. The shot from distance is well wide, really, from Ryan Thomas. Interesting looking at the formations. You said Navy definitely in more of a back three. I don't think the RAF are in a back three tonight. They certainly played it at times last week, but in the second half they changed it up a little bit and they've looks more of a 4.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I think playing out from the back, they might go into a 4, but, you know, I think when they started the kick-off, they were certainly a 3.
Kieran Feeney says, good luck to the Navy. Hope Jack Wright is wearing his lucky socks. Jack Wright couldn't win the header there, though. But it will be a Navy throw. Good header in there by Sowerby, but the Navy are just getting the ball back a few too many times. That looked like a push and was. Cameron Quirk just making it a little too obvious there, I think. See Jenny Watson's watching. All support from the RAF women's senior team. Kicked off their inter-services last night with a 1-0 win against the Royal Navy in Havant. Again, the RAF go long towards Campbell. Jack Wright winning it off the second attempt. Sowerby does enough. Good luck to the RAF, says Smallsy. Shout out to Ryan Beasley watching in Cyprus, cracking player himself, and scored the winner in the RAF Cup Final 2023. A call up beckons, apparently. Well, we'll see what happens in the next inter-services for him. Walker then with the throw. Just waiting for a moment where someone can take this game and calm down and get the ball down at the moment. 8 minutes in, it's been very scrappy. Paul Carter's watching on Facebook, says, great to see Joe Waters start tonight, been a big player for the under-23s over the last few years. Come on, the RAF. Well, Waters couldn't win that header, but that's just lofted up more than anything. Very calm and composed by Sam Rawlins. Navy just a little bit of pressure maybe. Sanchez Baker coming off the back. And it will be a goal kick. He's certainly got a bit of height and presence about him up front, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely a classic number 9, isn't he? A big, strong guy.
Georgia Asprey's saying, good luck to my brother Sol Thorpe and all the Navy team. We're watching at home in Lancashire. Come on, the Navy. Sol Thorpe starting tonight, number 2 on his back for the Royal Navy. Liam Smith hacks clear. The RAF haven't really been able to get Aaron Iyer on the ball much at the moment. Dave Vincent getting time to turn. Asking a lot of Jack Wright, but he does well there, Jack Wright. Brings it forward now. He's got Walker. Just overhit the pass a little. Walker will find the cross. Fine margins in those little moments, but the Navy have still got time to put that right.
I think at the moment that the Navy are just simply pinning the RAF back. You can see how high their wingers are.
Walker and on now for Ryan Thomas, and here is Sol Thorpe looking for Jans Baker. That's a little much really. And Joe Waters looking to try and build something for the He's just coming back at the moment. Good possession so far from the Royal Navy. Controlled possession, I'd say, though, for the RAF. They're quite happy to have the ball in certain areas. That's a good ball wide. Chance then for Gary Hurd maybe to make a run forward. The Navy patience at the moment. As you may be able to see, we've got Bit of a turnout on the opposite side. We were expecting a few fans, and it's good to see them turn up at Fratton Park. Here's Jake Walker. Again, looking for Jan to make a chance at the back stick, though, and it was Gary Hurd coming in on his weaker right foot and fall in as all the time, wasn't able to get it on target.
I think that's going to be their threat for the entire game. You can see how high the wider players are, so I think it's going to be a ball, you know, into the box and hoping to get that back post on both sides.
Approaching 12 minutes in, still 0-0. Neither side really having that opportunity just yet. But the Navy are growing into this one. Well, Dawson won the header, but took a knock in the back of the head too. This will be a moment for him to have maybe a bit of treatment. In fact, he's back up on his feet, so I think he will be okay. Played well, Sam Dawson, against the Army last week. Certainly on the ball, showed his ability, and he's in more of a forward position tonight, particularly with no Joe Spalding. Walker's not going to get there. Georgia Asprey says, have a good game, Uncle Sol. Hope you score for your new baby, Jude. Love from Solomon. Good to see family watching along as well. Keep the kids up for this one. Here's Aaron Hyatt. First real time we've seen him on the ball, it feels like. And the RAF might just need a moment of possession. That's over for Campbell, who will push the lines. And actually, Michael Campbell into the penalty area. First big chance, and Lawrence McCormick stands tall for the Navy. All of a sudden, a little bit of pace in the game. That's a late challenge in there, though. Sam Rawlins, and I think that might be the first booking too. We're going to get a bit of treatment. I think the Navy are asking why there wasn't a booking, if there hasn't been of yet anyway. Might just be a talking to at this stage of the game.
I think we've seen it in our game. There was 2 yellow cards for the RAF, so clearly they're looking to set the tempo.
And I think Rawlins has found his way into the book there. Just go back to that chance, though. That's Michael Campbell's game, isn't it, on the last defender? Yes, he may not have the pace he used to have in his career, but he's still very good at finding the space, getting through and getting a shot away. And a good save from Lawrence McCormick too.
Yeah, it's using that experience and, you know, sort of that game intelligence that he's got.
Well, chance then for the RAF to load the box again. The first one of these from a position similar to this wasn't really up to scratch. So take 2 for the Navy. Vincent gets it in there. It's up towards Jack Wright, who did win the header, but again, not really troubling Ben Binns so far. And the RAF gets back underway quite quickly now with Liam Smith. Smith pirouetting. Hello, Liam Smith. And then asking Campbell to make that run again, and off he goes. Jack Wright was with him, and Campbell, for once, the touch wasn't up to scratch. It'll be a Navy throw. Josh Parr says up the RAF, and of course he's a fan of Phil Bright. The Phil Bright fan club is in attendance.
In fairness, Phil, he's a great player. I think that was from our game, he was certainly the main threat. And as the second half went on, that was where we could definitely see that they started to try and force the ball a lot more.
Good win from Liam Smith in the air. And the Navy come away with it. Really good play. And that's going to go on for Walker, who's one of the danger men really for the Navy tonight. Jake Walker taking on Phil Bright. Walker onto the inside. Look for the left-footed shot. Good block, though, from the RAF defender. Navy pressing well, though, and winning the ball back. And now it was Roche looking for Walker. Not the pass, though, that was needed there. And that's got to be nodded on by Dawson to Campbell. Campbell looking for options against Jack Wright inside. And that's going to find Waters. Sorry, Brody Gray. And then on to Ayat. And if Ayat can keep this in. And it does go out for a goal kick. Game's just starting to open up a little now. Doreen Pierce says, I'm watching. Good. Happy to have you along, Doreen. Angela Parhill says, rooting for Brighty and the RAF lads, as always, tuning in from Preston. Michelle Tant says, the referee is a big brother, Michael Robertson Tant. Well, so far, good. Good start from your brother. Let's see how the game goes, but he's managed to control it so far. Tom Craney says, good luck to Phil Bright, RAF Bulmer's second best left back. I'm sure Brighty might have something to say about that one. Whose ground is it on? Well, we are at Fratton Park in Portsmouth, who have graciously hosted this Royal Navy home game over the last couple of years, and that is continuing tonight.
I think the RAF are just playing really cautiously, aren't they? They're just, waiting for that counter-attack, and rather than that open play football that they normally play.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously they know going into this, they have to win the game. If they're going to win the championship, mathematically they have to win the game tonight. Some managers might have gone, right, we're going for it. We're going to throw everything at it from the first whistle. And admittedly, it's a risky tactic because you might end up 2-0 down after 20 minutes. So, yeah, cautious from the RAF tonight, and that's the move that Chris Hamilton's decided to go with. I'm sure they'll grow into the game, but they've had the best chance of the game so far on the break. So who's to argue it's not going to work? We'll find out. Paul Hodgie says hello. Fitzy said hi, says Ryan Fagan. Ryan Fagan, who scored the goal for the Army last week.
And what a goal it was as well.
What a goal it was. Completely confused the RAF keeper, Ben Binns. Here's the Navy coming forward. He's done well there, Hurd. And he's won a free kick. Yeah, we were sitting there watching. We could see it from our angle in Shrewsbury. And we were sitting there going, deflection? Was there a deflection? It just completely took the keeper out of the game, it did.
I think the keeper had grown roots. I think he just hadn't moved at all, or maybe he'd guessed one way and just couldn't get over to the other side. But, yeah, what a finish, though.
John Doe says, predicts an RAF win. However, I support both teams. Much love and respect given to both teams. Assuming that's not his official name. Chance then for another Navy free kick. The RAF has certainly shown bite in their tackles. Can the Navy punish them from this set piece? It's going to be in swinging, right footed. We know this angle can be dangerous, particularly with runs across the keeper. A chance for Jack Wright. And we said, could they punish them? The Navy do. And it is that man, Jack Wright, who loves a goal from a set piece. Really good ball in, run across the goalkeeper, and Jack Wright is there to nod past Ben Binns, and the Navy take the lead. Another Macarena celebration, by the way. We saw that from the RAF yesterday.
It's got to be a fine celebrating like that, surely. That's
Great goal, though, for the Navy. Terrific free kick in. The delivery is important there, isn't it? Because we've seen the first free kick they had wasn't up to scratch. That one certainly was. Great delivery.
You can see he was setting it up for the in-swinger rather than sort of crossing it. So, well, again, we're going back to the goalkeeper. Maybe he could have done a little bit better. Who knows?
Well, Jack Wright's goal then separates the team 20 minutes in. And it means that the RAF, who, as you say, have been quite cautious and looking for opportunities on the break, might need to come out of the game a little bit. That's looking for Dawson. And it's that man, Jack Wright, who wins the header again. Waters back for Sowerby. And Campbell's going to make that run. Well, Jack McCormack let it go. I'm assuming there was a shout by Lawrence McCormack, but with Campbell around, that is dangerous. The Navy looking to break, but Brodie Gray stops Hurd in his tracks. Now Thomas back to Sol Thorpe. There is a switch available for the Navy. I can see Jack Walker in a lot of space on the right-hand side, but they're going to find the pass into midfield instead. And that's one for Roche to chase. Can Roche keep it in? He's not going to. Martin Barrett says, lovely goal, great delivery. Paul Hodges said, good goal.
Be interesting now to see the RAF's reactions and see what they can do.
Ben Binns' clearance then. Jans Baker trying to win the header, but Campbell's done well. Jack Wright against him. No, it's a battle there, isn't it, between Campbell and Wright tonight. And Jake Walker bring this down. Did go out of play. Yeah, they're having a good battle already, aren't they, Wright and Campbell?
Same as our game last week with Lee Phillips as well. You know, there was a up and down that pitch, back and forth.
Bright looking for options, just a bit of a shake of the head, maybe a little frustration in this RAF camp, conceding there. Bright looking for Gray, but not finding it, and Gary Hurd now with a bit of space to come into on this Fratton Park pitch. Thomas mops it up. Now McCormack, sorry. We've got a McCormack and a McCormick in this Navy team. Walker now wide for Dave Vincent making a run. And Vincent will go all the way back to Jack Wright in the Navy. The gold giving him confidence, and they look quite comfortable now. Into Roche. Sol Roche spinning, doing well and looking low into the penalty area, but it's cleared by Rawlins, and Ayat will look to try and do what he can to bring the RAF back into this game. Luke Kearney's watching from Costa del Aldershot. It has been quite warm in Portsmouth tonight, so, or at least in the day. Scott Wright says, great goal, son. You said you were going to give us a goal. Of course, that must be Jack Wright's father. Pete Bradley celebrating the goal too. The Navy then lead 24 minutes into the game. And for the champions, so far so good. They've certainly been the team that have tried to do a little bit more with the ball and play their game. He's right. And that's asking for Roche. It might be Jans Baker onto it. Chance maybe for the number 9. Good block by Rawlins. Now Gary Hurd. And now Roche spinning, trying to get away. Finding maroon shirts everywhere he goes. Jans Baker. And now Dave Vincent will strike. Good pressure and good play from the Navy.
I think we've got the best angle from where we can see from here. Is we can see the wing backs are pushing so high up that the RAF are just pinned and can't do nothing for it. So not only are they dealing with the free centre players, but they've also got the wide players to deal with as well.
Yeah, it's certainly a multi-man attack at the moment for the Royal Navy. Smith wins the header into Brodie Gray. The touch was a little loose, and once again the Navy come away with it. Ryan Thomas, who's impressive so far. Thomas looking for Jans Baker against Ben Binns. Binns got nowhere near it, really. And fortunately for him, Jordan Sowerby was there to clear. That could have gone anywhere. Phil Bright took a knock. Hopefully he's okay. Not the most convincing goalkeeping there from Binns. It's also a sign of the physical presence, isn't it, that Jans Baker has been so far, that you just makes you second guess when you go for those catches or go for a header. Chance for both teams to have a moment, and the RAF I can see below are obviously taking in some fluids, but also getting some messages across. I can see Chris Hamilton talking to Liam Smith down below. Goal scorer for the Royal Navy was Jack Wright, number 5. Of course, the Royal Navy also getting messages across, but it's certainly a calmer approach on the Royal Navy bench at the moment, which is no surprise because things are going well. Chance to have a look at the goal again, by the way. Brilliant free kick in, I believe by Ryan Thomas delivered it. And of course Jack Wright there getting across and heading it in. And the Royal Navy lead by a 1-0. Phil Bright then gets back to his feet just off camera, so hopefully he's feeling okay. A grimace on his face, but knowing Bright, he's not one to go off at the first knock, that's for sure. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I think you could take his leg off and he'd still want to get on that pitch.
I think, as you said, the physicality of these games is immense, and you know these lads they want to win at all costs sometimes. But you know, hopefully he's all right, and the game can continue with him on the pitch.
The Navy then get the game back underway, and now Thorpe. Hurd making the run. That's asking a little too much, though. Shepherded out by Liam Smith. Liam Smith's one of those players with the RAF who's been in and around the squad over the last few years. Always involved in squads, probably not been the nailed-on starter. He gets the start tonight. So, with a couple of injuries too, he's managed to find his way into the team. Sol Thorpe with a challenge in there. It was a good challenge. And he got a good cheer from the fans over there, like what they saw there. Smith's throw then, headed away by Thorpe. Joe Waters, that's unconventional clearance, let's say. And the Navy now have got a chance to bring men forward, and it was Thomas making that run. The pass, though, from Cameron Quirk wasn't in the right direction. It's Sowerby. Can Dawson win the header against Wright? There's no winning a header against Jack Wright at the moment. But Dawson will get there again. The RAF just trying to find a way back into this, get some foothold in this. Here's Brody Gray. Looking for options, and immediately he's just surrounded by white shirts, and away the Navy come. Roche against Bright. The press from the Royal Navy has been really impressive so far. And now Jack Wright. Every time one of the more technical players in the RAF have gotten the ball, I'm thinking Aaron Hyatt, Brody Gray in particular. There's been white shirts surround him. That'll fall for Jans Baker. Might have just for a second thought as it popped up, why not? He instead goes wide to Walker, who gets the ball in, headed away by Liam Smith. Walker then with the throw. Certainly seems to be the man that they're going to look for deliveries from the right-hand side, Walker, so far. Puts it back from Vincent. Now back to the UK Armed Forces footballer. And spread it wide well, actually. And now Gary Hurd, a chance to take on Smith. Gary Hurd into the penalty area. He gets the shot away. Blocked by Rawlins, and it bounced back up off the arm. And all the pressure disappears for the Royal Navy. Frank Wood is watching. He was referee for the Army versus RAF game back in 1991. Always loved these inter-services games. Ben Binns then over the free kick. 30 minutes gone. The Navy lead by a 1-0. The RAF had that big chance with Michael Campbell earlier in the game, but since then they've kind of been ground out of it. It's up towards Brody Gray. He's not really the strongest in the air either. Sol Thorpe saw to that. Now Liam Smith with the throw. Taking too many yards, the Army referee pushes him back. And back again he goes. Ironic cheer from the Royal Navy supporting crowd. Switch of the ball, switch of the play though is good. And now Sam Dawson with a moment maybe to push forward. He's got to look for the cross instead. Instead, here comes Dawson again. The touch was heavy, but he's kept it in and won a corner. We've already seen the Navy get success from a set piece. What can the RAF do with this? The big boys coming up from the back. Sam Rawlins, Liam Smith and Jordan Sowerby too. But they've gone short, and Brodie Gray does get the ball in, headed away at the near post. For those centre-backs who have made the trip, they're on their way back, and I'm sure they're quite frustrated with the way that ended up. Here's Phil Bright. Dawson does well to get there first, but he's going to fall for a Navy shirt. Roche sends it forward, and then once again it's out of play for a throw-in. There is a little bit of a stop-start nature to this one so far. Good header by Jake Walker. Now Jans Baker into Vincent. Harried by Joe Waters, but the Navy keep control of it now with McCormack. The goal scorer here against the Army a year ago. And the Navy look quite comfortable, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely look a lot more. Well, I suppose the 1-0 up, they're going to be more comfortable, aren't they? But I think as the game goes on, you can see that they've grown into it and they're starting to relax on it and knock it about. And you know, game management now maybe till half time, going at 1-0. If they get a counter attack, then even better.
One thing Chris James won't want is Lawrence McCormack messing up a kick like that and allowing the RAF some momentum back into the game. Fortunately for the Navy keeper, it led to nothing. Bright though looking for Campbell. Now Ayatt onto it. Into Brodie Graham. Well, I think it was looking for Campbell, but they were not on the same wavelength at all. Jack Wright sends it forward. More up than out by Sowerby, but Waters will finish the job and was fouled. Looking for options, McCormack, and seeing the backs of shirts. So he'll go long. And that's pretty easy for the Royal Navy to deal with. So match day 2 of the Inter-Services Championship after a brilliant draw. Very entertaining draw for the neutrals last week in Shrewsbury. The Royal Navy so far are getting the job done. 1-0 up. And have won most of these 50-50 challenges so far. Rawlins heads away. Roche back in. Jans Baker up there against Smith. It's a bit head tennisy. And Brodie Gray will complete the clearance. Campbell now to Ayatt. And what can the RAF do on the break? I think Dawson kept his line there. He did. And he's going to load the box. It's in towards Campbell. It's not the best delivery though.
You can see the amount of white shirts at the back there compared to the RAF. So the RAF just aren't getting forward fast enough.
Feels like that a little all over the field though, doesn't it? Everywhere you look, you've got numerous white shirts and not as many RAF shirts. Here's Brodie Gray. Wide for Campbell, who's looked a little bit lonely up there at times so far. Now a chance for Manny Roche. Jans Baker just slowed it down a little, but it will eventually go wide. And Jake Walker's onto it. Walker inside. Jake Walker now to Manny Roche again. And now Quirk. Quirk's ball in towards the back post. It's Hurd coming onto it. Just ran out of room. But the Navy have tried that a couple of times so far.
I think that's what they're looking for. I think it's, get it to either side and it's back post every single time.
Chloe James says, "Go on, Dad," daughter of the Royal Navy head coach Chris James. Chris James' family supporting from Bournemouth. Liking what they're seeing so far, I'm sure. I can see Luke Kearney getting some respect in the YouTube comments, which is always good to see. I'm assuming they weren't sat in the stand in Shrewsbury last week, though. Here's Jack Bright. Now Vincent. A lot of space for a player like Dave Vincent isn't necessarily the smartest thing for the RAF to do. He's gone wide to Hurd. He's getting more and more of the ball on that left-hand side. Right, looking for the physical presence of Jans Baker, and once again Sam Rawlins clears. Jack Wright's onto it though. And you could see the pass he was looking for. I think Manny Roach just went a little early there. He thinks he was onside. I mean, we can't see the line from our point, but felt like he went a little early. Anthony Carley said, Jack Wright, what a player. Well, he's the player who's made the difference so far, 37.5 minutes into the game or so. Good win there by Dawson. Pushing the back by Jack Wright. The RAF will get a free kick. And actually, the referee's got to come over and have a word with the RAF bench, I think, and maybe a little bit of frustration on the performance starting to spill out onto the Army officials here from Chris Hamilton. Just looking around the pitch, there is certainly some frustration in this RAF team at the moment. You probably know they're not quite performing to the standard they can. Smith will find a free pass, though, to Kieran Best. And now Rawlins to Smith, and Smith has just given the ball away in a really dangerous position. And now Cameron Quirk has got there, and it's a good save from Ben Binns, who's come all the way out to clear it too. Liam Smith nearly had a moment of disaster there. We talk about RAF frustration so far. If that goes in from Quirk, well, I think Chris Hamilton might literally see red. Here's Vincent. Late tackle in by Dawson, but the referee plays advantage, good advantage. Now Jack Wright spreads it wide. Sol Thorpe. This three at the back is certainly giving the Navy options every time they're on the ball. That wasn't the best option. Credit to Ben Binns with the save. They had to be brave, didn't he, in that situation?
He had no choice. You know, I think after that poor mistake, I think he had no choice to come rushing to it, to even show presence to put the attacker off.
Certainly did well. From RAF head coach, the man who certainly knows what it is to win and into services. Andy Cookter's watching. Come on, the Air Force, let's get at them. Walker's ball in then. Oof. Ben Binns, see what he was trying to do. Didn't get his hands underneath him really, and was fortunate enough to quickly claim the ball again. Sowerby looking for options, and the frustration that we talk about with the RAF is just on show a little bit here. Sowerby, arms up in the air, I could see. Dawson trying to gestate to Bright where he wanted him to go. It's just not quite clicking, is it, for the Air Force so far? I
think the coaching staff need to be careful on the sidelines as well. I think, you know, if they start showing their frustrations, it spills onto the pitch and vice versa. I think calmness is needed, and, you know, even if you're going in at 1-0 down at half-time, then you can sort of recoup and try and get something back from it.
The RAF certainly were calm there. Jake Walker puts the ball in the back of the net, but it was already pulled back. Certainly tried to be calm there, didn't they, the Air Force? I'm sure what Chris Hamilton and his team will be saying at this point, and particularly at half-time when they get them in, if it's still 1-0. Look, you've still got the second half to turn this round. Still a long way to go in this. But an extra 20%, an extra bit of calmness and composure is needed. Binns then with the kick. And Dawson looking to win, and he does get it onto Campbell. He keeps it in and on towards Ayat. In fact, the flag's gone up. It will be a throw. Look, from our position, he kept it in, but I'll give the linesman the benefit of the doubt because he probably has the better position than we do. Scott Jackson's watching along. Good to see Scott watching, the Football League referee, and of course part of the Royal Navy Referees Association too. Great coverage so far, enjoying it tonight from the comforts of home in Liverpool. I'm sure it's warmer here than where you are. But the RAF are looking to heat it up here. Brodie Gray, Aaron Ayat, in much more of an advanced position than we've seen him in so far. It will go on one more to Bright. Phil Bright's ball in is claimed really well by the Royal Navy goalkeeper Lawrence McCormick.
I think that's what the RAF need more. You know, get that ball left, get him higher, and see what we can get into the box.
And the kick then. It's 2-on-1 on the right-hand side for a moment here for Walker. And again, the switch of play each time is just causing the RAF mayhem, isn't it? Certainly the tactic that Chris James has decided on tonight, and so far it's been very good. Particularly with tiring legs. Of course, the RAF played last week as well, and the Navy, this is the first in-service game for them. It just, each time you're twisting and turning and running from one side to the other, we talk about the frustration. That will build frustration, won't it?
It's them 1%ers that you've got. You know, they've got that advantage of watching last week's game. You know, and they've got the rest before it. They can see how the RAF set themselves up, and it gives them a little bit of time to formulate a plan and make sure that they can execute it when it comes to the actual match day.
There's a push in the back there. I think it was Vincent on Kieran Best. Phil Bright then. The defenders are coming up from the back, a few of them. I see Sowerby up from the back. That's looking towards Campbell maybe. Good header in there, and the RAF will look to continue the pressure with Rawlins. Slips but finds the ball towards Smith. Jans Baker underneath it for the Navy. Smith now. Brodie Gray. And Salthorpe does very well. The Navy at the moment winning each battle and doing their job quite professionally, actually. Support for the Navy on YouTube. I see a certain former Royal Navy head coach watching along. Come on, the Navy. Excellent performance so far. Good to see you watching, Mark. We're approaching half-time then at Fratton Park. And the Navy fans in attendance will be pleased with what they've seen so far. Jack Wright's goal separates the teams. That's a ball on that the RAF have got to deal with here. They haven't really. Gary Hurd keeps it in. Chance maybe. And it's wide. And the Navy won a penalty, by the way. And they're not going to get it. There's big shouts for a penalty.
I thought it had gone in at one point.
I think it was slammed wide by, I want to say, Cameron Quirk. But he felt there was a late challenging on him. The Army official did not. Good win by Wright again, but Bright sends it forward. McCormack looking to win it, but it's well dealt with by Thorpe. And they're certainly winning the physical battle, the Royal Navy. McCormack spreads it wide to Hurd. Certainly been an attacking threat on the left, Gary Hurd. Here he goes again. Smith does very well though, Liam Smith. Uses his body well, gets across, shepherds it out, and the danger's gone. Ben Binns then with a kick again. Wright again wins the challenge, but unfairly pushing the back. We're not aware of how long has been given for injury time, but we are eking into it at the moment. So this could be one last chance in the first half for the RAF. The defenders go forward again. It's going to be Bright over it. And the ball in. Flicked on and headed away. Chance for the volley for Smith. Deflected. A brilliant save by McCormick. McCormick does so well. Because that could have gone anywhere off the deflection. Smith's volley on its own probably wasn't that threatening, but the deflection sent it anywhere. Good hands from the Navy keeper. And that is the final moment of the first half too. Pretty much sums it up. Yes, the RAF had a good opportunity there, but good hands from the Navy keeper, and the Navy have won majority of the battles out there in that first half, and they have the score to show for it. Jack Wright's header with a well-taken finish after a good free kick in by Ryan Thomas, and the champions are leading at half-time and deserve it, don't they?
I think absolutely. I think we can see that the Navy have settled quicker. That they are making sure that the RAF have difficulties on that back line. The wingers are nice and high, and at times they've got 5 on that back line, so it's been really difficult for them.
Well, the RAF have got a job to do in the second half if they're going to win back the trophy that they feel is theirs, by the way, after winning it for 3 years in a row. At the moment, stays like this, the RAF will not be champions in 2025, and it's the Royal Navy who take a strong step potentially towards retaining that title with a win tonight. We will be back for the second half very shortly. We'll also have highlights from last night in Havant, where the RAF women's team got off to a perfect start to their title retention attempt. But before that, let's take a look at what really happens in the Army coaching world. Julian Evans recently went to a coaching workshop down in Aldershot and got the inside scoop. Let's go and have a look at that, shall we?
Former Sutton United head coach Matt Gray has been sharing his wealth of football knowledge with members of the military. Having guided his previous club to a Wembley final, he was keen to engage with this enthusiastic group of novice Army coaches, providing them with useful tips. The Army Football Association, in partnership with the League Managers Association and the English Football Association, staged the first ever Army Coach Development Conference. The event is designed to boost the game and individuals at grassroots level across the service.
Yeah, it's all about the coaches and them personally as well. So, you know, we talked about inside about developing the person rather than just the player. I know people have got different outcomes in relation to their regiment. It could be that they're coaching at representative level as well, but actually it's about gaining the knowledge and development here at the conference, then take back to their players, start conveying that, and then just basically develop and build the Army and the Army Football Association as much as possible.
It's interesting, isn't it? There's a lot of emphasis on those to play sport, but perhaps in the past we've ignored those who look after those who play the sport, especially when it comes to recruitment and retention, and I imagine that this slots in nicely to that.
Yeah, that's great. So, you know, the Army FA, a lot of people just think that we deal with kind of football matches, you know, like player participation and things like that, and growing those pathways. But actually, just as important are the volunteers and the coaches that dedicate their time and give it up for the game. And actually, that's what we want to do here, is to develop them as people and give them the tools to be able to do that as well. So slowly but surely, we want to try and grow, develop and benefit the coaching community within the Army.
Gray, whose career has included spells as assistant manager at Eastleigh, Aldershot Town and Crawley Town, was only too delighted to be involved in the initiative.
So pleased to be invited, and we were just talking to Graham Brooklyn there, the links between the LMA, the League Managers Association, and the Army is extremely strong, and they help each other out in both ways. And I've attended a couple of the Army events at Sandhurst, but I've also, last season, I came and did a coaching session for the under-23s, and I know some other managers and coaches have been down and doing some other sessions as well.
As students, What are the Army like when they're listening to the knowledge that you have to share?
Right, as you expect, they're brilliant. They're a great group to work with. I've really enjoyed the hour and a half session that I've just done there. It's very receptive and taking the information on board on what I'm trying to help them with and all the different teams that they coach and manage. And we're just going to go in and have some lunch now before we're doing a Q&A and talk further.
And you said that it goes both ways. You take something from your involvement when you've been working with the military as well.
Without a doubt, and as I say, the day I had, I was part of the LMA group that went to Sandhurst on a leadership day, and it was so insightful and such a great tool for us managers and coaches who are leaders, of course in a different field, but to listen to the home of the British Army and talk about their experiences and how they lead in the environment they're in is just a fantastic opportunity for us managers and coaches.
Although the Army led this event, it's hoped future coach development conferences will be enjoyed by all three services.
Yeah, definitely. So with the Royal Navy and the RAF FAs, we're actually, all three of us in terms of the football development officers are quite new to the role anyway. So moving forward, especially over this next 4-year strategy, as much as possible we want to come together, start planning and delivering stuff all together as well. Whilst we have the inter-services, it obviously gets very competitive, the rivalry. Actually things like coach education, we can come together. So we've got a UEFA C course that will be delivered in April through to June, so that's with the RAF as well. And also we want to invite the Navy to those kinds of things. So moving forward, this conference could become a tri-services event.
Those taking part in this inaugural session were full of praise and will look to impart their newfound footballing knowledge with coaches and players back at unit.
Absolutely, yeah. I can take this away and utilise it back at units and help develop players as well in grassroots, which is fantastic.
And for those budding coaches that are in the Army, and I know there are plenty, you would urge them to get involved in a session like this again?
100%, yeah. This is the first one that they've done, and there's not actually a full course. People had to pull out for various reasons, but 100% people need to get on it.
Following the success of this initial coaches conference, plans are already underway for events next season. Julian Evans, BFBS Forces News, Aldershot.
Stepping in their way will be the Army next week, but tonight the Royal Navy. And the Navy, as we mentioned, have probably been the closest challengers over the last few years, but they have never won the Inter-Services Championship. Why not 2025? That's what Nat Bavister, the Navy captain, and her players will be saying. Why not this year? The players have made their way out, as you can see. That's the trophy they'll be looking for. That's going to go towards Carr, who was probably playing in that hockey game.
Yeah, probably.
Hindman to Shorter. What can the Navy put together as an attack here?
Actually done really well there.
Really smart pass and touch from Hindman as well. And now a chance for Nadina Green, who's looking over the top for Bavister, and it might be a chance for Nat Bavister here. It's a great pass the goalkeeper. And who was there mopping up but Shauna Jenkins, but a really bright moment for the Navy.
Great play by the Navy there, fantastic football.
You do wonder if it's going to be a tiring night for Nat Bavister with Hayes and Wilson to deal with.
And obviously
Georgia Carr again with another chance, puts it on a plate for Lucy Farrow. And that's the opening that the RAF wanted.
Yeah, fantastic finish by Farrow.
A bit of a Macarena celebration as well for Lucy Farrow. That is a flying start for the champions and the worst possible start really for the Navy. Nat Bavister with a strong challenge.
She did well then, just trying to turn her. Babs read it beautifully.
They've probably gone through that scenario 100 times in UCAF training. Jenkins to Beaver. And Beaver's pass asked a lot, and McDonald will get there. And this is a chance maybe for the Royal Navy. McDonald, there's a pass to the back post if she can find it. She's in fact got across the goal, and it will be cleared by Jenkins. And It's those moments, isn't it, for the Navy that they do have to take more advantage of, because when you get Lucy Farrow on the break, it's dangerous. Jenkins has gone forward too. Here she is, Shauna Jenkins. I can see Wilson at the back post with a lot of space.
Oh, great ball.
Now Bavister tracking back, had
well
to
done,
get
Babs.
there.
But that from Jenkins there, you know, she's at one end, she's sorted it out, and then she's gone the other end to try to score.
Well, there's still a long way to go in the second half. That clearance will find Shorter, and a bit of a risky one too, but the Navy will call it composure. Heinemann.
Oh.
And the scrappy end to the first half probably sums it up in a lot of ways. The Navy have made it a fight, but they do go in a goal down, and once again, it's Lucy Farrow getting a goal. It's a big second half on the way in the opening match of the Inter-Services Championship. So far, so good for the champions. So Olivia Smart's come on and gone immediately onto the right wing. As far as I'm aware, she was more of a right back with Leeds, but obviously with the experience she's got, I'm sure she can play in the forward position too, and that's probably why they've switched it up a little bit with Georgia Carr into more of a 10 role and Farrow going up front. Good options to have, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's Wilson.
Just watch Wilson's pace now.
Looking for a ball in, and Farrow's got space, and the touch wasn't really what she wanted, but she's still got it, Lucy Farrow, and that's dragged wide.
Yeah, great ball in by Pip Wilson. That connection they have between Farrow and Wilson is dangerous, isn't it?
Here's Abby Hayes now. Into Wilson. Wilson looking for Carr and finding Georgia Carr. And can Farrow get onto that? She can. This is a big chance for the RAF. And it's dropped wide from Lucy Farrow. I think everybody in this stadium expected the ball to hit the back of the net there. Two players who, of course, also play their civilian football on the same team at Shrewsbury Town, and have had their own FA Cup hijinks. A chance for Sophie Colborne, by the way. It'll be an RAF throw then, deep in their own half. Bavister into Shorter. Brings in Bowden. A bit of space for Kate Bowden. I'm not sure she knew what to do with it though. She wins the tackle though, and Bavister gets it back. The Navy need to try and put a move together here. It's up for Hendrick to try and win a header. It'll bounce around. And it's a shot from Colborne.
Oh, great shot.
This time on target and forces a save from the RAF goalkeeper, Jamie Lee Bamford. It's an important defensive touch by Sophie Perrin. Now Cat Beaver from some range chips it forward. Important header by Wise. And Katie Shorter's clearance is only far as Megan Herbert.
I don't know if that was going in, but still, she had to make sure.
Certainly forced. Looking for an RAF option. We'll go back to Abby Hayes. The clearance is missed, kicked, but it doesn't matter. Celebration for the champions. Step one done. The Navy have made them work for it. They have played very well in that second half, the Royal Navy, and really made it tense, way tenser than the RAF would have expected. But at the end of the day, job done.
Towards the near post, he's headed on, and he to the back of the net. That's a great save.
Around the goalkeeper.
Ball comes in. It is a leveller.
And it's a goal! 2-1 Navy!
It's a goal,
John!
As you can see, second half not far away here. The RAF out first. Probably had a little bit of a bombshell in that dressing room and out early, I think. Navy are yet to be seen. But it does give us an opportunity to run through the goal from the opening 45 minutes. It's Jack Wright who's got it, and very much Jack Wright's attacking game this, isn't it? He's such a good player in the air. We've seen it defensively, and we saw it attacking-wise as well. Getting across the defender, and a really well-taken header. And set pieces are so important in these sort of games, aren't they? And the Navy proved that in that first half.
I think he'd set himself up perfectly, hadn't he? It was that in swing. It was either going to be looking for that back post and look for a header, or is he going to look to sort of take the shot himself? But yeah, a great free kick and great finish.
Well, the Navy are on their way out too. I think the RAF had that chance at the end, which I think you guys might be seeing, which Liam Smith took the shot, deflected, and a brilliant save from Lawrence McCormick. We talk about fine margins. Having a goalkeeper like Lawrence McCormick is key for the Navy if they want to win the championship again. Top keeper between the sticks, and he's come up with something at the very end of the half to continue the Navy's lead into half time. So it is 1-0. All to play for still in the second half. I think we expect a reaction from the RAF in the second half, or as it stands, that they're out of the competition, really.
I think, as Ted Lasso would say, believe. And I think that's what it is. I think he's been in there. I think there's been a team talk, and probably a load of Ted Lasso sort of quotes have been going on, and believe is certainly going to be one of them for the RAF right now.
I can certainly see Chris Hamilton smacking the sign. Yeah, we'll see.
Ripped it up into pieces, and they've placed it together and stuck it above the doorway.
That's it. Well, the RAF certainly do have to believe that they can get back into this. And the truth is, with their talent, their ability, they certainly can. If they put it together, second half, we'll see if they can do just that. The Navy will get us underway. Dave Vincent over the ball.
I think we need to see a bit more attack and threat from the RAF for this half. I think they need to, sort of go out certainly for the first 10-15 minutes and see if they can get that goal back.
Well, there are no changes at the break, at least from what we're aware of. And the Navy get us back underway then. Towards Walker, challenging with Bright, but Walker will still keep the ball for the Navy as he gives it away. There's that curse again. Sowerby sends it forward. A good battle there with Jack Wright, and it was Kieran Best, I believe, challenging away. Furthest we've seen him get forward actually from midfield a little bit. It will be a Navy free kick, and Lawrence McCormick can take all the time in the world at 1-0 up, can't he?
Game management, and that's what it's about. It's my stepdad John, he's not into these tactics or nothing, or coaching points, but he's just get it up the pitch and get in the back of the net. That's his philosophy.
The RAF have come away with it with Gray. And the left-footed ball wide is, well, not giving the RAF winger tonight, Sam Dawson, much to work with that, was it? That's one for Jans Baker to chase down and force Sowerby to send out. So the Navy lead by a goal to 0 as we get into the second half. And if it stays like this, the RAF's title challenge will be over. The Navy will get the ball in. It's gone behind for a goal kick. If the Navy win here, they will go into next week's game, the final game in Uxbridge against the British Army, in pole position. And it forces you guys in the Army into a position where you will have to beat the Navy. If it stays like this, you'll have to beat the Navy next week. So it's certainly a strong statement, a win here for the Navy. Callback eventually does clear, and Hurd underneath it. Heads on, but it'll go out for a throw. Phil Bright can't get there, Jake Walker does. And Walker looking to slide it into Jans Baker. The deflection though, well, fortunately Ben Binns had his wits about him there, because that could have been dangerous. Rather timid opening to the second half. We thought we might get an RAF reaction. It hasn't quite been the passionate reaction yet. We'll see what can happen here, but the Navy come away with the ball, and now Manny Roche. And I believe Jans Baker just straight offside. There goes the flag.
I think from up here looking at the setup of it, the Navy have come back out again with plan no change. I think it's back into it again. Everyone's in the same positions, they're going for it and see if they can get a second goal.
Well, the first half performance they've had, why would you change it? Liam Smith bringing it forward for the RAF. Cleared away by McCormack. Back to Smith. On for Ayat, but it'll just rebound off Aaron Ayat and out for a throw. That's a player that the RAF have got to get on the ball in the second half. The number 10, Aaron Ayat, filling in that role that over the last few years we've seen Jake Gosling play. Unfortunately, Jake Gosling is unavailable for the 2025 inter-services, and Ayat's trying to step into that role. Certainly got the ability to do it. Not that many people can be Jake Gosling.
No, a quality player, and we've seen that from last week. I think that's what they were missing.
Jack Wright, wide for Walker. Heads on, but it'll be quite simple for Sowerby, and now on to Best. And again, another miscommunication, and keeper's got to come for this. Sowerby does clear, and just for a moment, Jans Baker sensed an opportunity there for the Navy. Paul Willits has revealed the Inter-Services Masters result today, by the way. It ended Royal Navy 4, RAF 0. There's a strong challenge in there. The referee is happy to play. Manny Roche to Walker. Back to Roche, who's starting to show a little bit of zip about him. Manny Roche to the back post. Hurd's going to be there. Headed back across. Vincent. Waters should get there, but he's just given it to Walker, really. And Walker will loft it in, and Jans Baker went down. Told to get back up. I think it was a little easy. There was a clash of legs, maybe a little clip, but not sure Jans Baker needed to go down there. Good win by Dawson, and now Campbell. Can't find Ayat. Those two have not been able to link so far tonight in Portsmouth. Dawson, sorry, Smith sends it forward. Now Manny Roche for the Royal Navy. Riding one challenge, but it's a good tackle by Waters, and he's won a throw for the RAF. Bright switching the ball towards Smith, but it is going to fall for Smith. He's done well in the end. Does well to come back inside too, looking for an option, finding Ayat. Immediately Jack Wright presses, but Ayat does well. And I think the ball was actually for the runner Brodie Gray. Campbell didn't realise it and ended up doing a good defensive job for the Royal Navy. Jack Wright wins that header. Now Vincent. And the Royal Navy get control of it. Right back on to Walker. Brodie Gray will look to press this for the RAF. Not the same intensity of the press that we've seen from the Royal Navy so far. McCormack goes long towards Jans Baker, who wins the flick, and a chance now for the Royal Navy, and it's a good, strong, brave challenge in there from Ben Binns to deny Cameron Quirk again. Couldn't quite get it under control though there, Quirk. In fact, he has taken a bit of a knock. Daspar is watching from Preston, saying, come on, Brighty. Certainly shows what Jans Baker can do in the air there, doesn't it? Sometimes, I mean, the Navy have played good football and managed to pop it about, but sometimes you just got to go to that big man when he's there and relieve some pressure, and you never know what's going to happen with the flick on.
I think we can see that their players are getting round their big number 9, and that's what you need. You know, you need your 8 and your 10 to be there and to, if need be, to overlap and to make them runs and to threaten the RAF back line.
Comment on YouTube calling for changes from the RAF, who have, as they quote them, they're not able to lay a glove on the Navy. Well, looking at the RAF bench, there's a couple of options that could potentially change the game. Tom O'Hanlon certainly is one of them, a goal scorer in the under-23 inter-services. Missed a lot of 2024 due to injury, but he's been back with the RAF and he's into the senior team tonight. And an RAF team that looks like they're struggling for goals a little bit tonight. Tom O'Hanlon could certainly provide it. Of course, Josh Randall and Henry Jordan are there. Jordan started against the Army. He'll be raring to get another opportunity. As we mentioned, Randall certainly an attacking player too. What is interesting, by the way, and I do hope it doesn't come to this for Ben Binns, I don't see a goalkeeper on the RAF bench. Here's Manny Roche now. Just forced wide a little bit by the pass. Now Vincent. Now Manny Roche. Rawlins is very much up. And Jans Baker's going to get control of it. Good foot in by Rawlins, that. Lucas James says up the Navy. Support from the RAF by Cat Beaver. Good to see you watching, Cat. Come on, the RAF, get a goal back. Here's Walker. Blocked by Phil Bright. Anthony Carlisle says Sanch doesn't lose those headers. He's certainly been impressive in the air. That's a good ball through. Chance for the Navy. Good defending, the right place at the right time by Sam Rawlins again. Jack Wright to Jake Walker. Now Vincent, the Navy popping it about, playing their football. Manny Roche, Quirk. Walker back to Cameron Quirk, number 8 on his back, finds a ball in. It will easily fall for Jans Baker and it's going to go in. That's over the line, but the flag's up. The flag is up and the Navy do not get their second goal. And all credit to the RAF defence there, by the way, because the step up was timed pretty perfectly by Rawlins and Jordan Sowerby, and it had to be right there, or the Navy are 2-0 up. Sam Rawlins sends it forward then. That's kept in and flicked up. Rawlins and Sowerby trying to get between it, and now Liam Smith all the way back to Binns. The Navy foot on the ball, but it'll be a RAF throw. Another precarious moment for Ben Binns, that. Yes, the flag went up, but I don't think he'll be pleased watching that back. That's the save attempt that sort of scrambled underneath him and I think did go over the goal line.
I'm just looking at him here. He seems to be limping a little bit as well, which is a concern with you saying about he's the only goalkeeper.
It is a concern. Here's Gary Hurd. Flicked on by Jans Baker, and just wonder if Cameron Quirk might have just gambled a little bit there. He'd have had a goal at the back post. More support for Sanchez Baker. Sanchez Jans Baker. On our social media at the moment. Make sure you are getting involved in the chats on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll read out the best ones. Liam Smith, Rawlins. The RAF looking to add some intensity to the game, but the accuracy wasn't there. Now Vincent. Walker. Vincent again. These two have certainly formed a partnership tonight. Good strong tackle in there though by Joe Waters. And now Dawson. Did Campbell time his run? No, he didn't. The flag's gone up. Ironic cheers from the Navy supporting crowd. He just went and then tried to come back, I think, Campbell there. And we're looking at a change for the RAF, and it is going to be Kieran Best off, number 8, and on comes Henry Jordan. Chance then for Jordan, who might feel like he shouldn't have been benched today. Chance for him to put his stamp on the game with the number 12, and I'll be interested to see where this is going to go. Thought we might saw Brodie Gray drop into midfield and Henry Jordan take the right wing option, but it's actually, I think, a little bit of a change of formation for the RAF. I wonder if they've gone to a 3 at the back formation, but here's the Navy coming forward. Dawson trying to get there, and it just scrambled
Great
defensively. Tackle. Good challenge. And now Jordan with a good first touch, driving away from Jack Wright, but Jack Wright's got the pace to get back, and very smart defensive play that from Jack Wright.
You could see he was looking to cut across him and maybe even get the free kick himself, but yeah, did defend in there really well.
That's pinged to the feet of Jake Walker, but Phil Bright's won a good challenge there. Looking for options, Phil Bright, and all he's found is the white shirt of Gary Hurd. Hurd spreads it wide into the gap left by Bright. Walker, ball in. Smith clears. The Navy are just ramping it up a little bit at the moment. And you wonder if it's going to give the RAF possibilities on the break. Not when Manny Roche is about to win it. And Roche goes for goal. And when clearly Ben Binns, whether it's an injury or a confidence issue, he's having some issues tonight. I think Roche has got the right idea to get a shot away there. Here's Jordan, good touch and a good spread to Dawson, and the flag's gone up again. Now the RAF feel that that was onside, but the Army officials have the say-so, and the flag went up, so offside.
They're not always right, but they're never wrong. That's my saying.
That's rare for a coach to say about the officials. I'll give you that one. Paul Hodges says he's a tall lad at number 3 for the Royal Navy. Certainly is. Sol Thorpe. He's a player who's done well in the physical battles and good on the ball so far from the Navy. McCormick then with the free kick, lofted towards Jans Baker. Pushing the back maybe by Rollins, but referee didn't see it, and Jans Baker needs to be careful of how much he, let's say, complains to the referee there. Hurd's long throw, and it will be an RAF free kick. And I just wonder, yep, Sol Thorpe might have just walked his way into a booking there. Rather needless. I think he felt he was trying to give the ball back, but I think he knew what he was doing as well by having a little pot shot at goal anyway. One of those bookings, I suppose, if you're a coach. Oh, hold on a minute, Henry Jordan might get there. Nope, headed away. One of those bookings as a coach probably quite frustrate you on the sideline.
Oh, it's needless.
Now Gary Hurd's made a challenge on Smith. And the RAF are just having a few moments here that the Navy are now starting to ask some questions of themselves.
I think there was a little bit of confusion of when the substitute come on of what formation they were going to or what roles, responsibilities some of the players were going. You could see a lot of the players asking each other what was going on and who was going where. That took a good few minutes to settle in. But hopefully now for this free kick they can get something from it.
Well, we mentioned that Aaron Hyatt hasn't really been able to link up with Campbell so much. Henry Jordan in there is another option to link things together. Chris Hamilton has made his change, and at least in the short term, we've seen a bit of improvement from the RAF.
Campbell is definitely isolated.
Free kick then. We've got Dawson or Gray. It will be Sam Dawson to whip this in. And it's a header. Well off target in the end by Liam Smith, I think. And as they just take a moment to reset from the goal kick, we're going to have a look at this RAF formation. It certainly seems to be a back four, but Henry Jordan now playing that 10 role, with Aaron Hyatt stepping back into his preferred midfield role. And Jordan hoping to link up better. Ben Binns does well to collect there. He's Bright to Dawson. The flag's gone up, it did go out of play.
I think the interesting thing about formations is always the case. If once that ball starts moving, it looks completely different anyway. So we can guess how many formations there's going to be, but I think once the ball moves and players start to overlap and underlap and change, you can never tell what formation these teams are playing sometimes.
The benefit for the players and the coaches, and the curse for us commentators of particularly modern football, where everything's always so changing. Here's Jack Wright. McCormick needs to be smart about it. Campbell was chasing in. Smith's header. Brody Gray. Jordan with a strong challenge in there, and this may bounce Jordan's way. He'll keep it in. Henry Jordan needs options. Has one with Smith. Smith's ball in. Vincent will clear, and now the Navy look to break. Cameron Quirk onto Jake Walker. Jack Wright, a lot of space for Quirk on the right, but we go left instead to Gary Hurd. And Liam Smith will get the tackle in. The game's just starting to open up again. Michael Campbell. Hyatt back in his deeper role. The pass to Waters was loose, really, and Waters has fouled him. The Navy, I think, want a booking here, by the way. Manny Roche getting involved.
One thing we can see is from when Jordan come on that the RAF look a bit more threatening now, which is good to see.
They absolutely do. Hyatt back in that role as well. The Navy are preparing two changes in response, by the way. I think it's Oliver Ward and Dan Greet preparing to come on. Two players that I believe have been involved in the under-23 setup and are getting an opportunity. Of course, with all three services, but I feel like the Navy suffer, or at least feel it more, the demands, of course, of their job and how it can affect their sporting teams. And we've mentioned already that the likes of Elliot Holmes and Mark Drysdale aren't here tonight due to work commitments. I'm sure they're watching somewhere. I'm sure they're pleased.
I think the main thing is that pathway from the 23s into the senior teams, giving them the opportunities from players that have performed really well in their competition to come into this and hopefully carry that on.
It's certainly something we're seeing with the Army as well, after Keith Emerson's team won the inter-services last month, and a few of those players have already ended up in the squad in and around that first team position.
Last year as well.
Now Walker, it's a good touch by Quirk, that. And Quirk will loft it into the penalty area, and it might fall for Hurd at the back post. Clearly, Jans Baker is attracting two markers each time, but it does mean there might be options for other people. Hyatt's header away. Jordan needed to get there. It's all a bit scrappy, but here is Henry Jordan, down to Brody Gray. Liam Smith just not really going to find Campbell with that. Georgia Atkinson says, come on, Mitch Duggan. Afraid Mitch Duggan is not involved this evening, at least from the team sheets we have. Unfortunately, he didn't pass a late fitness test. I'm sure the RAF would have liked to have him on the field. Unless he has found his way onto the field and he's not on our team sheet, which with you guys is always a possibility. Navy changes then. Jans Baker goes off. And that is Gary Hurd also who's gone off. Two players that have been really impressive for the Navy tonight.
Will we see maybe a formation change here? Will we see maybe a little bit
see.
more game management to see the game out? I don't know. There's a long way to go.
Oliver Ward's gone off up front. And there's Dan Greet joining the field. In fact, Gary Hurd is staying on. He's come over to take the throw. He's confused us all. And it is Cameron Quirk who's gone off. The Army official, I don't know if you saw it on the live stream there, quite frustrated that the way that what happened was a foul throw, and it sort of all got a bit messy from there. RAF free kick then. Mikey Gamble doing what he does to win it there. Tim Blaney says, great to see Cam Quirk there. Did you know his dad was and still is a legend, apparently? Another chance for a free kick then. Made an opportunity from this recently. Sam Dawson in swinging. Towards the back post this time, and he's going to just drop to a Navy shirt. Chris James will be pleased with that. Maybe another opportunity here towards the back post towards Gray. Can't get there, and the RAF do have a player down at the back post. I think it might be Joe Waters. Yeah, Joe Waters just took a knock there, I think. No, that's Jordan Sowerby. $20 minutes to go then. 20 minutes for the RAF to save their title challenge, or it will be 2 years in a row without a trophy, which is a rarity in RAF football recently. That's a good first touch originally for Ward, but he was quickly hassled by Waters and then immediately made the foul there, Ward. Comment saying about Sam Dawson's deliveries from set pieces away for the RAF to get back into the game. Could be Liam Smith. Lofting it forward to Campbell, and the flag has once again gone up. Campbell's put it in the back of the net anyway. Jody Horsell's watching on from Fast Lane, still recovering from the Mighty Mags winning at Wembley. Come on, the Navy. Well, two big wins in a week as it stands for you. What can the RAF do to ruin your night? Brodie Gray. Campbell's tried to give it him back, and once again, that link-up play, that second pass, the important moments, just not quite up to scratch for fans of the Air Force tonight. And as the clock ticks down, the Navy will take longer and longer with all these little stoppages. And as you say, the game management that took them to the championship last year, potentially good, take them to a victory tonight. Clip forward. No longer have Jans Baker there as that physical threat, but the RAF go away with it. Campbell now on towards Jordan. Jordan. Well, the challenge could have turned into a pass, but Jack Wright was there. And now Jack Wright will send it forward. Good defensive work, though. Joe Waters did well there. Now Smith to Brodie Gray. Smith again. And that's going to be allowed to bounce by Sowerby. As going to head it back, and Ben Binns takes charge.
I think that's better from the RAF, though. You can see them moving the ball a little bit quicker now. It's getting to that time, but
they have to move it quicker now, as you say. It's whether the accuracy will be there. Here is Dawson. Jack Wright has looked pretty unbeatable at times, but he'll be disappointed to give away a corner there. And with Dawson's deliveries, so as someone mentioned, to see set pieces that might just be what the RAF need to get back into this. It's only 1-0. It's a dangerous score for the Navy.
They love a short corner, so we could see another one. It's interesting to see all the Navy are back as well. No one's up front. Every player's back in that box.
It'll be Brodie Gray over the corner. I think Dawson wants it short. It'll be laid back for Dawson. Ball in, headed away at the near post. Ryan Thomas with a good header in there. We're going to go back to Bright, who will loft it forward. And that is easily done for the Navy. Calm, composed, well done.
No pressure really though, was there? Should have been maybe a bit of pressure from an RAF player.
Jack McCormack, who had the time of Fratton Park to deal with that. McCormick sends it forward. And the header is pretty dreadful from Bright. And now a chance for Roche, good save. Drilled it across the goal, did the right thing, Manny Roche, but Ben Binns did well, and the shot stopping there. Not quite sure what happened to Phil Bright there, but his body seemed to malfunction for a moment. Rawlins wins the header. He'll fall back to the navy white shirt. McCormack. Right. Thomas now back to McCormack. Now Walker. On to Thomas, and that's one for the substitute, Ollie Ward, to chase. Ward across the box. Oh, it's just away from one. A chance maybe for Hurd.
Straight at the keeper.
Well, if the RAF do find a way back into this, the Navy will point to these chances and go, the game probably should have been put to bed by now. That's gone forward towards Campbell. Thorpe has just sort of flicked it backwards, but it's got to work out. McCormick will get hold of it eventually. Big chance that for Hurd. Come at him quickly, but you got to think you got to try and get it down low at least, or find a corner. Made it simple for Binns. Good win there by Phil Bright, and that has been kept in. It has. The RAF come forward, but Jack Wright's there to deal with it, and McCormick, really good ball play by the goalkeeper there. Headed away by Rawlins again. Now Joe Waters. Dave Vincent's quick onto him. And Rawlins is also being pressed here. It'll go back to Binns, and the Navy have done well to force the ball back into their possession there. Vincent. Waters with a good tackle. Vincent will let that run. Someone said this is going to be 5-5, just like Oxford v Portsmouth at the Manor. Oxford with 3-5 with 2 minutes to go. Watch out. We'd love that.
I'd settle for 1-1, but if it's going to be a 5-5, that'd be a great finish, yeah.
Substitute, I believe. It's a RAF substitute. Josh Randall's gone off, and I think I'm trying to get the number. We'll try and figure out exactly who's gone off. But I think it might have been Brodie Gray, actually. No, in fact, I can see Gray. I think Liam Smith's gone off. Brodie Gray's just dropped into the right-back position, allowing Josh Randall on. And logical choice in a lot of ways. Had some creative flair on the wing position. Here's Jordan, who's actually looked pretty bright since coming on. Wide for Phil Bright, and Dave Vincent's there again. Digby Jones asked, would it go to extra time? In fact, it wouldn't. It'd be a draw, just like it was last week in Shrewsbury. Meaning it would be all to play for between the Navy and the Army next week. Here's Brodie Gray. Hyatt. Josh Randall.
Back post is looking good.
Randall's low ball in. asking for a Henry Jordan to get across the keeper. It didn't happen. As it stands, a draw technically is enough for the RAF to still be in it. It could be draws, and it's all shared, I believe, but realistically they need 2 goals here if they're going to be champions.
We were talking about this earlier today, if it was to go like that, and going down to corners. So, yeah, within the rules, so if it goes down to corners, so it would be interesting to see who's responsible for counting the corners. That would be...
I'm going to feel bad for the commentator. Oh, wait, yep, that's me. If it goes down to corners, we'll all guess. Is someone totting up all the corners? I hope someone's totting up all the corners.
Imagine, telling everyone later in the future that's how you won the championship.
That's how you won the inter-services.
I won it on corners.
That's a late challenge by Randall. Not the introduction to the game here. He's probably been told to get stuck in and add a little bit of spice to the game. Not really the way he wants to do it there, Randall.
I think as we get to this last 10 minutes, I think that's it, isn't it? You've got a roll of dice. You've throw the kitchen sink at it, get something out of this now. Certainly from the RAF.
Sole thought then to take this free kick for the Navy as we approach the final 10 minutes. Manny Roche has tried to hold it up there, wasn't able to. Good header by Jack Wright again. Manny Roche has gone down and Phil Bright's just pinged it off him. Chance no, Jake Walker for the Royal Navy. And that will be a Navy victory at Fratton Park. A hugely important goal really for the state of the title race. Jake Walker provides that composure and the Royal Navy have what surely is now the win against the RAF. Just the RAF are just trying to figure out what's gone wrong here tonight. Phil Bright looks very frustrated, and of course he tried to clear it. It hit it hit Manny Roche, who was down on the floor, who by the way has quickly got up to celebrate. I will say he is limping away now, but he was okay to celebrate. And from there, it just led to a goal out of nothing really.
I think Phil Bright will be devastated there. I think it's count that as an assist for the goal. Also, it certainly led to it. He'll have to pick himself up very quickly after that.
Anthony Carlisle says Manny Roche assist from the floor. Gotta love it. Certainly a pre-assist. I'll give him a pre. That's what they call it nowadays, don't they? A pre-assist. The game's gone mad. The Navy won't care. 2-0 up now, and a scoreline that probably reflects the performance actually a little more.
I'll take you back to our game last season, when we were 2-0 up before half-time, and the RAF quickly turned that around, Can we see that here today? What was it, 3 minutes? I think it was. It was a quick 3 minutes.
It was a brilliant game in Aldershot.
It was. It was something else. I think we were probably shocked to be 2-0 up at the time, and then to all of a sudden it be turned around very quickly to concede 2 goals in short time as well. But
well, you raise a very good point, because in inter-services football, you never take it for as it is. You never say never. The unexpected is always around the corner.
It's going to get a bit spicy now, I think.
Isn't it? And that frustration again from the RAF just boiling over and showing up. And it's going to be a yellow card, I'm assuming, for dissent there, because I don't think he was the man who made the challenge there, Jordan Sarabee. Sam Dawson.
I say it every time. I hate a 2-0, because all it takes is that one goal, and then all of a sudden that momentum changes, and you see teams going on to win 3-2. I know the stats probably don't prove that percentages, but psychologically, one goal in it, and you never know. The RAF could see a change.
Spoken like a true Army coach, hopeful of a draw here this evening.
I'm hoping for it, yeah.
Well, the Navy might look to end your hopes here from this free kick. Walker, the whip it in. Ben Binns has come, not got anywhere near it again, and it's still alive. Jack Wright, and it's in the back of the net. The Navy have the third. I think it's the substitute, Dan Greet, who might have got a first ever Royal Navy goal off the bench. a pretty perfect night in the end for the senior service. And if there's a goal there that quite summed up the differences between these two teams, that was it. The RAF all over the place at the back, the Royal Navy quick to take advantage. And what were you saying about a 2-0 lead?
1999 Man United, are we looking? Maybe you're going to go back to there, Istanbul.
I love the hope.
What do you want?
I love the hope. I'm sure the RAF have got that same belief and hope, but
I think unfortunately Ben Binns has had a bit of a nightmare there, hasn't he? He's just unfortunate not to get hold of it and keep hold of it.
Well, it was Dan Greet who celebrated, number 14 off the bench, with what I am pretty certain is his first Royal Navy senior goal. Got in the wars to win the strike in the end, but celebrates a third Navy goal tonight. Dawson clears away. And Jack McCormack to Lawrence McCormick. Nice and composed. As much as I understand the hope for a draw, and as much as the RAF will feel like they had the ability on the pitch to win the game tonight, there's only really been one winner since the first whistle, hasn't there?
Yeah, I think in all seriously, you can see that the Navy have dominated this from that first, 10 minutes where everyone was a bit nervous, but they settled more quicker. They've been more composed on the ball, tactically better. You can just see that they've been more up for the game as well. And the RAF maybe could have done a bit more attacking, but I think they were just a little bit too defensive in the first half. They've changed it the second, and they've looked more threatening, but yeah, it's difficult now, certainly from that free.
I think a lot of that you have to give the Navy credit for. The press they've had, the formation they've had, always having an option on the ball. They've really stifled this RAF team, but here they come with Randall, needing something, get in a corner. Yeah, this Navy performance has been top class all around, really. I'm sure it's not what you want to hear ahead of Navy v Army, well, Army v Navy next week, but it's going to be a tall task to stop the champions on this performance.
I think if you'd asked me before the match started, Navy for me would have been the favourites for this game. Yeah, clearly I was hoping for a draw, but yeah, we can see that the Navy have dominated this game, and we'll go into the game with us next week, and it'll be still all to play for. I think we just get that win, and that's us all good to go.
Well, credit to the Royal Navy, because I think there were some question marks actually today when you find out that Dan Kerr's not playing, that Elliot Holmes isn't playing, Mark Drysdale isn't playing. But credit to the likes of Dave Vincent, Jake Walker, Sanchez Jans Baker, who did well. Manny Roche has been brilliant. Gary Hurd has been a constant threat on the left-hand side. The defence, Sol Thorpe, McCormack and Jack Wright have looked pretty unbeatable.
It just shows you a holiday for 4 days in Spain, what it does. The Navy have taken that really well, and they enjoyed it, and they've come out here all nice and fresh, and clearly taking the analysis from our game and taking it to the RAF.
Vince Williams has knocked in some of the rules for this, by the way. It is, well, to decide the winning team, if everything was a draw, which as it stands looks unlikely. First of all, the team with the greatest number of points, a victory of win gains 2 points, a draw match counts for 1 point, as we know. In the case of the points being equal, goal difference would go into it. If the two teams are still tied, it'll be whoever has beaten the other of who's equal. But if everyone's equal, the team that scored more goals is the winner. If the team are still in equal positions, the competition would be shared.
Oh wow, okay, there you go.
Well, I think that's off the table now.
Absolutely.
Unless RAF corner. Flicked on at the near post, but the Navy man is there, and the white shirts are looking fit and ready, raring to go on the break. It's another Navy substitute who has come on, Seb Hobbs. We haven't.
Doesn't need to, does he? That's what I'm saying, a bit of game management, just hold it up there.
We haven't quite clocked that Seb Hobbs has come on for the Navy. We'll try and clear up who's come on for where we can, but Seb Hobbs is on, number 18. Frank Wood says, oh, chance for the RAF. Josh Randall's flicked it forward, and it's gone over the bar. Well, Needed that to go in, didn't they? And actually, at this point in the game, you'll agree with this, I'm sure, as a coach, Chris James and his team will be going clean sheet. This point in the game, they will be hugely frustrated if the RAF score. Here's Henry Jordan. Jack Wright strong in the challenge, and Henry Jordan has fouled him.
I think as any team, as you say, you know, getting the goals is great, but clean sheets matter just as much.
We had a conversation about this at the women's game yesterday with a few of us, and you get clean sheets, you win in services. It's the way this sort of works. A chance for the Navy maybe again here. Ben Binns has got nowhere near it. The Navy, well, they perhaps should have had a fourth. If that goes in, well, that makes your job next week even harder. 5 minutes of added time.
Yeah, goals are important certainly for your strikers if they're getting the goals in, but clean sheets for goalkeepers and your defensive unit, you know, to keep that, it certainly builds confidence for your next games.
Well, the player who had the shot, which I think might have been the goal scorer, Dan Greet. I'll try and get that cleared up, but I think it might be Dan Greet. He's just suffering a bit of an injury there from it. Looking around the pitch, obviously the Navy look confident, they look happy. Looking at the RAF faces though. At this point in the game, 3-0 down into the 90th minute, are you just, right, let's get me off now, let's go. I'm sure you've been in, as a player and coach, you may have been in that position. It's difficult to keep the heads up, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think in a competition like this, from previous years and from even ourselves not doing so well, you know, it's a difficult one and a difficult situation to be in. To keep that, you know, motivation going for the lads to see out the game, and to no silly tackles either. You know, you want everybody to be a, yeah, it's, you know, the fierce rivalry is there, but you still want everybody to go home safely as well.
Well, the goal scorer then, Dan Greet, back up on his feet, and will hopefully be all clear to continue. I think the RAF are preparing a change, and it does look like they do have a goalkeeper on their bench, by the way, which is not the information given to us, but we'll check. Ben Binns doesn't look right, and he hasn't looked right all game, if we're totally honest, has he?
No, earlier before you could see he was limping. So not too sure if he took a knock in the first half, and it's just, you know, sort of been from there.
Well, it's going to be a number 23. We don't have a number 23 on our team sheet. In fact, we do, sorry, tell a lie, we do. Just hadn't written it down properly. Matt Cape has come on for the RAF for a final few moments. And what I can only assume is an inter-services debut. Not the easiest situation to come into for the keeper.
Well, it's no pressure. You're 3-0 down, it's
there
no
is
pressure
that.
for him.
There is that. Up forward towards Ayat, who's more attacking again, but it's a foul against Ayat, or maybe offside there. McCormick then taking the time, just a couple of minutes left in this game. The Navy have done what they needed to do tonight, and they've done it well. He's into trouble again here, chance. Shot blocked well by Sam Rawlins, who's quite frustrated that they ended up in that situation. That's been kept in. Henry Jordan looking to keep it, all a bit scrappy. Joe Waters comes away with the ball, does well actually, the RAF midfielder there. That's lofted long. Dawson should be able to clear this up. think he looked at his goalkeeper there, Matt Cape, who's just come off the bench and maybe wanted a little bit of direction. It's gone out for a Navy throw. Credit to Dawson and Bright there, trying to get the game back underway quickly, but it would be, well, probably the best comeback of all time in inter-services football, at least, if the RAF are to somehow get the 4 goals they need, really, to put themselves in title contention.
I think, like I said before, the advantage for the Navy is this is their first game. RAF, this is their second. You know, they tied themselves out a little bit too much when they played us. Their press was really good last week. You know, it was certainly one of the things that we struggled to deal with, and as that just taken out of them to go into this game.
Another free kick for the Navy, lofted in, bouncing around. And that Cape does well, actually. The kick from the keeper. Back into Navy hands. Sam Rawlins there. Good flick that. And now Gary Hurd. The Navy are looking for another. Hurd across the box. Still there. It's going to be handball against Oliver Ward. If Hurd gets that pass right, we have a 4th. As the time ticks over the 5th of the additional minutes.
There we go.
The RAF have been put out their misery. The Navy have won comfortably tonight, a 3-0 victory. And the champions look mighty frightening.
I think they've done really well there. I think what they've also done from a coaching side of things was bringing Sanchez off. He didn't look injured when they brought him off, so they've played him for X amount of time and keep his legs fresh for next week when they play us. I think that's a thing that we need to look at as well from an Army point of view.
The Royal Navy will be very pleased. The RAF, I'm sure, bitterly disappointed. There'll be a bit of an inquest into what's gone on tonight for the RAF, because they've not looked right, they've not looked themselves. They've not really made a game out of it, if I'm honest. The Navy have been good. They've been allowed to be good. They have won tonight. And, well, all to play for next week, as it stands, for the final game of the Inter-Services Championship, the Men's Inter-Services Championship in Uxbridge next Wednesday night, live on the BFBS Forcing News YouTube channel. The Royal Navy, who are celebrating tonight, are in pole position. A draw and a win for the Navy would see them retain the championship. The Army have got to win. That's the job you've got on your hands. Make sure you do not miss it. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining us on commentary this evening. If you want to see more reaction from tonight, we'll be hopefully getting a chat with the Royal Navy captain this evening, Lawrence McCormick, on our social media channels and on our website. But thank you everyone for joining us here at Fratton Park. Next week, the Army are the hosts in both nights of games. We're in Sandhurst at the SB Stadium, home of Bracknell Town, on Tuesday afternoon for the second game of the Women's Championship, and we are over in Uxbridge on Wednesday night as the Men's Championship concludes. It is not one you want to miss. We will see you next week.
Towards the near post, he's headed on, and he to the back of the net. That's a great save.
Around the goalkeeper.
Ball comes in. It is a leveller.
And it's a goal!